Kaya, please just fucking go back. I can't stand any of you dumb in this goddamn chat. You are just a trans person. I despise you more than anything else on the planet.
As far as me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it. Old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark?
If 2025 will be remembered for anything, it'll be for being the year that the online left finally gave up on mommy and daddy.
Contra puts out this post on Reddit.
Contrapoints, who is one of the platform's most prominent purveyors of style over substance,
released as bad of a take.
This like rambling narcissistic post.
Let's read it and let's talk about what the problem is with it.
Will they be happy if I get in the bath and pour milk on a mannequin of Netanyahu?
I also feel a lot of other things.
Do I think it's a genocide? Yes. Is that bad? Yes. But
Natalie typed this out, read it through, made sure there were no grammatical errors, and then thought that this was good to publish. Crazy. A shameful statement. When your dog got electrocuted, you spun the fact that it wasn't a buzzer? It's not! Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. That's not even a counterexample.
Meanwhile...
When it comes to meta discourse about breadtube, which swings around every few months, commonly there is one side that says breadtube isn't dead and another side that says not only is breadtube dead, it has been dead for literal years now. Is it dead? Is it not? Is it in a third liminal space in between? Is it on life support? Is anybody even a breadtuber when nobody in the purported group even claims the name? What even is breadtube anymore, you know? It is for the reason of that question lacking a definitive answer that I am coining a new term despite being one qualification shy of a PhD and probably not able to coin terms. Whatever. Pop Leftists. A pop leftist being a popular leftist figure that uses pop culture to convey, to advance their Marxist, socialist, leftist content. Despite some of the ambiguity that we have established so far, what is clear is that some of the figureheads of this movement, if you want to call it that, have demonstrated themselves to becoming increasingly compromised, shall we say. By which I mean, if politics is supposed to be about the codification of ethics and morals, then some of these people, some of these emissaries, have demonstrated themselves to have the exact opposite morals and ethics that they theoretically, supposedly should have. What is it that Two-Face said in The Dark Knight? Either you die a hero or you live long enough to become a grifter, animal abuser, genocide apologist, pedophile, misogynist, or sex offender. Is that what he said? Is that what Two-Face said in The Dark Knight? I think that's the quote, right? Hello and welcome back to the Layton Observes channel. It is I, the Layton in question. It is you looking as dashing as ever. And today, as I've already spoken to it, we're talking about pop leftists. And of course, as I foreshadowed, we're going to be getting to mommy and daddy and everybody else in between. But for now, baby boy, we have a date with Destiny, if you don't know, is a political streamer and debate bro. I became privy to him, or became aware of him, maybe around 2 to 3 years ago or something, during the peak, during the precipice. Motherfuckers love saying the word precipice. Of the whole manosphere thing, which I suppose is still going on, but it feels like it's tapered off a little bit, you know. My introduction to him was the male feminist that was invited to these things. You know, he was on Fresh and Fit, he was on the Whatever podcast at some point, you know, putting forward his supposedly feminist ideals, you know. What's his, at Omniliberal, he's a left person, you know. So yeah, you see him in these little podcast clips, these, and you know, your little YouTube shorts and probably TikToks where people repost and whatnot too. So you think this is a verbally adept guy, quick with the mouth, pause. I meant like verbally fluid, high verbal IQ, whatever. He's defending the women, you know, against these misogynist men. So you think, oh, what a good guy. He's got blue hair. Wow, what a good guy. He could never be evil. He would never be evil now, would he? He would never be. And that is how I would have foreshadowed and introduced to Destiny if it wasn't for the fact that in between filming originally and editing, I didn't come across a whole host of other interesting content from Destiny, shall we say, that quite frankly I could make a whole other video on, and so I'm going to. What are those interesting bits that I came across regarding Destiny, I hear you ask? Well, here's a little sneak peek.
When you first learn how to shoot, it's usually better to shoot in the isosceles stance, right? Both arms are even, your entire body is like straight, right? Your legs are lined up with your shoulders, and you're shooting right out in front of you like this. But the way, I didn't know this until I started watching her shoot, right? But what happened was when she fired, right? When she was shooting like this, and she shot, the way that the recoil traveled through her body would make her ass jiggle in the most delicious fucking way. Oh my god, it was the most beautiful fucking sight I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I don't know how it worked, but just every time she shot, the way that her body absorbed the recoil, there was like that ass jiggle every shot. Oh my fucking god. It was the best fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Holy shit.
I don't know.
Oh. I really like booties. Damn, that's fucking beautiful.
Oh my god, that is fucked up. That guy. I was like 16. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with streaming. I'm done with streamers. I was like 16 when we went to the gun show. He's like, what is he, like 30 or something? Did you watch it? Isn't it creepy as fuck? Stop attacking me! You were talking about my ass when I'm 16 years old! We were just friends. Like, we were both streamers and we were friends. And we both like the same game.
Yeah.
That is... No.
So, you know, subscribe for that, because that was just the tip of the iceberg. And yeah, moving on. The Vaush section is going to be pretty straightforward and short, because low-key pedophile.
It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well.
Pedophiles, right, who buy child pornography, would you say they should not be held responsible for doing that?
Yes. In fact, and this is going to be a real hot take, I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child should be illegal. Actual child.
The argument that I was making essentially is that people are inconsistent in their moral outrage.
He really was making that argument. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is like, you know, sometimes people are so smart they're stupid.
High-key misogynist.
If anyone makes an expression like this at the camera at any point, it's legally okay to be sexist towards them.
Oh, stop. What are you like?
Shut up, bitch.
Not something I'd have chosen for myself, but hey, whatever gets you going.
Stupid fucking bitch.
I don't think some people quite understood what I meant when I talked about how a big chunk of male feminists despise femininity and are often the most appalling towards women.
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed by, like, the fucking... The Office boys.
Again, one of these debate bros, streamers, you know, I'm going to put forward the arguments as to why my politics are correct. Hey guys, it's me, Vaush. I don't hate women. Except when they disagree with me, in which case I'll turn into the very men that I supposedly despise and talk ill of. Okay, buddy, this is why you can't trust male feminists, bro. It's the performative male thing. Online now, people will voluntarily put forward their beliefs and ideological perspectives, and if you take in enough of it, you can synthesize it and say, okay, can't say this thing, can say that thing. If I say more of column A and less of column B, I'm good. But there's only so much you can keep that mask on, you know? It's a persona. I guess somewhat piggybacking. I guess piggybacking. That doesn't sound right. Following on from the Vaush thing, and that if you disagree with me, I will kind of kick you to the curb in the same way that everybody else does. You know, you have, let's say, people that qualify as being marginalized, say. And so a lot of conversation, a lot of airtime, stream time, whatever, is spent defending and saying, you know, we need to look after the most vulnerable, and the most vulnerable just so happen to be the people that they're not straight, they're not cis, they're not white, for instance. You know, you've seen The Matrix, and one of the darlings in leftist spaces, at least for the past 10 years or so, has been trans people. And yet, when it comes to, like, again, it's the Vaush thing of, like, I'm pro-women until they disagree with me. And then the Hasan thing is, I'm pro-trans until they disagree with me. And then it turns into, you're just a trans woman. It's like...
My issue as a trans person is the fact that you, a guy that isn't super well versed on trans shit, brought on a known transphobe knowing he might bring up transphobic shit. You aren't exactly a Vaush at trans debates. I hope that the rest of your life is as horrible as it is every single day. Okay? There you go. Suck my dick. I despise you. I despise you more than anything else on the planet. You are fucking cancer. Okay? You are cancer in this community, and you're cancer in every community. You are just a trans person. Sorry.
Are they a protected class or not? Do they have a life experience that needs to be taken into account or not? Or is it just when their ideology points a certain way? I was going to leave it here. I was just going to make a point about the fickleness of a person like this, the kind of person that puts ideology before humanity, let's say. However, that was before the great shockening of 25.
But it is emblematic of all of America's much more consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America... Kaya, please just fucking go... Just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
This geezer... so obviously and blatantly shocked his dog and then tried to lie about it for fucking days that turned into weeks that may well turn into months. Previous videos of him shocking his dog started to resurface.
I got you. Please go back over there. Go England.
No, Jesus. I have it still. I bought it. They are incredibly effective.
I genuinely think the way that Hasan reacted to this qualifies for top 10 anime crash outs of all time. He's saying he hates you, he hates his fans, he hates all of his supporters.
I can't stand any of you dumb fucks in this goddamn chat. Oh my fucking God, I hate the left. I hate liberalism. I hate everything that's going on every single fucking day of the goddamn week. I hate my life. I hate fucking streaming. I hate socialism. I hate every single fucking person who thinks that the peak of activism is just being the most annoying, holier than thou, the most ultimately woke leftist. You did it. You have unlocked the fucking nihilism within me, okay? I am black-pilled. Nothing will ever get better. I want to just shut it off, dude. I want to shut everything off. I just want to go away. If I wasn't so goddamn stubborn, I would have a long time ago. Oh my Lord, dude. I 100% think you should someday go on sub-only mode. What do you mean? The most annoying people are literally like the 40-month subscribers. What are you talking about? The people that actually brick me, the people that actually cause me to fucking spiral out of control are always the people that have been in this fucking community for years, who never shut the fuck up.
I'm just watching clips of this thing get progressively worse over days, and it's like, I would respect you much more if you just said that you fucked up. Like, I've been sat on my chair, damn near turning into 90s Chris Rock, like, I know you did it, just admit it.
Just admit it. I know you did it. I got it on film.
I know you did it. Just admit it, you fucking bitch. But of course he's not going to. This is quite literally the guy that proudly referred to himself as a propagandist.
As far as me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it. You're a propagandist. You think it's a bad word. I don't. That's just the difference.
What's the, when people tell you who they are, believe them? Oh, but he's handsome though. If he looked like this, you wouldn't give a fuck about him. Similarly, I've had this thing in my mind. This is kind of off topic, but fuck it. I've had this tweet in my mind for about like 4 or 5 years now, and I've just never posted it. This is so dumb. If Karl Marx's name wasn't spelt like this, but it was spelt like this, nobody would give a fuck about him. Similarly, if Hasan Piker didn't look like this, he looked like this, nobody would give a fuck about him. Yeah, man, those fucking Republicans... No, it's not even how he sounds. I just think it's very telling how people not only treat their own fans, but treat animals, When someone, something...
Just stop.
You can lord power over them. How do they treat them? I never got that. So what, again, tangential, when people would be like, oh, when you're on a date, you should make sure to see how the person you're on a date with treats the waiter. And in my mind, I'm like, how is that a good heuristic? Because it's so easy to not treat people like shit. Apparently not. Apparently for a lot of people, it's actually quite difficult, and I just wasn't aware. Am I saying that Hasan Piker is a psychopath? No. But I am saying he has some psychopath tendencies. The torturing of animals. It's like every serial killer, bro. If he just changed his glasses and put the Dharma glasses on, he's probably killed at least 3 people. And even if he doesn't actually shock his dog, which he obviously does, the idea of forcing spot training your dog, your pet, your whatever to stay in one spot. These fucking animals are prop, bro. What the fuck are we talking about? This guy invested in a fucking animal because presumably it's fucking A/B testing. He's fucking min-maxing his stream of like, oh, if I have a doggy in the background, people will watch for longer. You can present yourself so easily of, oh, he's got a dog, he's such a nice guy. He could be a cunt. Even if he's not actually a psychopath, he certainly demonstrates the schadenfreude of one, you know. Telling people to kill political actors that aren't hypothetically in their best favor.
Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the fuck is this shit, man? Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this?
It doesn't matter if he's an animal abuser. It doesn't matter if he is the America deserved 9/11 guy.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
It doesn't matter if he's low-key pedophilic. Talking about Hannah Montana's a slut.
Legendary question of all time. Old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark. I want to say thank you to Miley Cyrus for showing off her camel toe at the VMAs the other night. I always knew Hannah Montana was a little slut. Don't even try to hide it. This is a classic example of what happens when your father doesn't pay attention to you. You turn out to be a slut who's craving for attention, and then I tend to pick you up at a bar late night and bang you out on the first date.
This is your king? This is your mascot? What are we talking about? But he says the right things, though. But he's a cunt. Is this going to be the end of Hasan Piker? Of course not, because as we know, politics isn't actually about politics. It's about teams, it's about association, it's about ideology. And so long as you continue espousing the right things, you'll continue to be enjoyed, even if you're low-key a pedophile, even if you're a cunt. Even if you scream at your own fan base that you don't actually like them, that you hate them, that you quite literally shake somebody's hand that represents you and you wipe it off. How many clearer indicators of disgust sensitivity do you need? This guy... bro.
Hi.
I just wanted to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My hero, for sure.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. What should we do? Kaya.
Time passes. People forget. This geezer came out of the Zoran Momdani win. Motherfucker started clapping like he didn't. Oh, dude. I do not care about the size of your house. I do not care about how cool a car you drive. I do not care about how many people watch your stream. To me, a loser is a loser is a loser.
Motherfucker, come here. Day. If you run right now, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I'll actually kill you, okay? In front of everyone.
Big Joel. I don't really have anything for Big Joel. Big, I don't think he's that tall. Joel, his real name's Henry. How am I supposed to trust you when you've lied to me twice just by introducing yourself? FD Signifier. I've already spoken about this geezer before in a previous video. I'm not going to do it again in this one. I'll give you a little bit of a hint.
This is the problem with like as a token.
It depends on what position the token is in.
Not only is a racist slur.
And so if you want to hear about my thoughts regarding that, it'll be in the pinned comment or the description, or I'll do the little eye. You'll find it. You'll find it, baby boy. This also might be a little bit of a niche one, or like a British coded one. Me again. The reason I said also is because at one point in this video's sequencing, there was another British person mentioned. However, since filming, some things had come to light, which is not to say that it made the things that I said originally untrue or dishonest. It just lacked a lot of context, and so I'm going to take that section out and I'll throw it up on Patreon because, you know, I've already done the work. I may as well put it there, and I'll put like an extension of the disclaimer, and you'll find out who it is, who old Chuckles was going to put a critique, was going to critique. So if that's interesting, that'll be on Patreon. You can watch it immediately after this video if you're still clamoring for content. Gary's economics. Not super privy to this guy. Again, like I'm not privy to everything and anything under the sun when it comes to the regards of any of these people. Man's not on the internet all day. This one is not necessarily actually about his political beliefs. I think generally I would imagine that him and I align on like, it's not getting worse, rich getting richer, poor getting poorer, inequality, etc. And that I also have like a significant amount of resonance in that, like a lot of the characteristics in which we grew up in are fairly similar, you know, working class background, volatile-ish upbringing, the saving grace to our lives being intellectual, you know, being able to go on to higher education and, you know, make it out the mud and that. So again, this critique is not about what he says necessarily, but certainly the way that he goes about doing it, the kind of rhetorical devices that he uses. And once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them, or I can't anyway. There's this kind of martyrdom that he does where he's like, you know, I know this isn't gonna work, but we gotta do it anyway. And it's like, if you know it's not gonna work, why are you like putting your eggs in this basket? I'll go on to talk about why that may be in just a second.
I know it's difficult. And I know I'm probably going to lose. I know I'm probably going to lose. And that means our viewers will be poor. But I do it anyway because I do not want this country that I grew up in to fall into desperate poverty. And I know that Farage will win, and I know that Trump will win, and I know that things will get worse. I don't think I'm going to win.
So if you know you're promoting a strategy that is not going to work, and it sounds like you think is incredibly, almost impossible, then why would you not be more practical in your solution?
In certain debates, I've watched him like straw man arguments of like, well, you just want da-da-da-da-da-da, but I'm fighting for da-da-da-da. It's like, you're not honestly representing the other person's side, you know, that you're talking to.
So it's not about fairness, it's about pragmatically what can you get away with.
All right, well, pragmatically what we can get away with is desperate poverty for our viewers' kids.
If you want to have... Can we zoom out just a minute, right? I want to zoom out.
Let's zoom away from our viewers' kids.
Zoom out.
Forget about them. They're not that important.
And then even in, let's say, like closed conversations, you know, it's three people, there's still this kind of like appeal to the audience. It's not technically there, but I guess will be by the time it gets converted into video. There's this kind of like breaking of the fourth wall of like, you know, our kids will be all right, but the viewers' kids, it's like...
Let's have a tax system where your kids and my kids and Stephen's kids are multimillionaires, and these guys out there can't afford to feed their kids and put the heat in.
That's not what I'm saying.
But that's what you will get.
That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you will get. Listen, that's what I'm betting on. That's fine, because I'll make money in the markets. It's fine. And you'll make money, and you'll make money. It's our viewers who will be poor, and that's fine.
There was a point, and I wasn't sure if this guy at the time was being literal when he said this, because again, fairly new to his point of view, let's say, and his character overall. But there was a point where he, like, wasn't sure if this was figurative, where he's like, I bet on things getting worse year after year. I wasn't sure if that was figurative or literal. And then it turns out that, like, he used to be an investment banker, and so...
I made millions of pounds by betting that inequality would destroy the economy and the lives of ordinary families.
If you do not tax them, I guarantee you poverty will continue to explode in this country. And I'm not just saying that, I'm betting on it. And I bet on it year after year, and I've made millions of pounds betting on it. And I don't want to be right this time.
He is a millionaire, multimillionaire, that, you know, ostensibly fights on the side of the little guy, the side of the oppressed people, relatively, you know, rich, poor. And there's something slightly unsettling about that in, you know, after, for instance, reading White Fragility, the Robin DiAngelo book, where she, a white woman, is telling other white people that they're oppressors and that, you know, black people and other people of color are oppressed, and it's not going to get better. It hasn't gotten any better over like half a century. Something about it just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I critiqued that book, the White Fragility book, over the course of like a mini series, and the final episode, I remember the title of it being like 5 words. It was calls herself racist, becomes millionaire. So, you know, what's that? Baby shoes for sale, never worn. I got a more punchy title in 5 words, let alone sit now.
I don't think it's a good idea to have your income be incumbent on the thing that you're claiming to be fighting against.
It's just a little bit suspicious for my liking. When your money and fame comes off the back of the thing that you are supposedly fighting against. It's like, but you're the beneficiary of the inequality. Again, you've literally said that you bank on it getting worse and that's how you make your money. And then that's the way he gets clouted as well. Like, there's a nobility of like, you know, but he's one of the good ones though. He's one of the good multi-billionaires. There was an episode of Black Mirror, I think in the first season, where I guess it was like an allegory in the same way that almost every episode that they do is an allegory. I guess all of the episodes. But, you know, there's a premise where, like, it's essentially people are just being entertained to do work, and that's basically the duality of life. You go to work, you come back, you entertain yourself, you numb your brain, blah, blah. And there's a point where the main character of that episode, you know, is had enough, doesn't want to do it anymore, and gives the impression that they're going to kill themselves. And then doesn't. And then the system kind of like takes that person in.
Authenticity is in woefully short supply. I'd like to hear you talk again.
How so?
The slot on one of my streams where you can talk just like that.
And they put forward that message time and time again, but then they never commit to the thing, you know, I'm fine for you guys, I see the injustices too.
Farewell forever.
To the same time next week.
Meanwhile, they're living a completely different life to the people that they're supposedly fighting for. I'm obviously not making an argument that, oh, because he's a millionaire, the points that he's making, the political views that he has are invalid. I think that's silly. That's a kind of like standpoint epistemology thing of like, well, who are you to say that? And so we're going to discredit your beliefs because your characteristics don't align with the kind of person that should have those beliefs. That's, you know, silly. But like, I don't know. Bro's getting clouted off of it. It's kind of theatrical, even down to the like the body language. Like, he does these kind of like crab hands often. I'm holding a mic, so I can't do it with both, but it's this kind of like, is it like a humility or like an honesty thing of like expressing a kind of vulnerability? I don't know. He does these weird crab hands. Maybe I'm being a bit too like micro detailed on it, but I feel like a body language expert would be able to talk about it in some way of like what that conveys. And then, speaking of people that are quite into theatrics when it comes to the left space, let's say, I was going to talk about Philosophy Tube. And then I thought, I can't really do that because I haven't watched a Philosophy Tube video in at least 3 years. I think the last time I watched a Philosophy Tube video, or fully anyway, it was the trans coming out video, which I'm going to be honest, I watched that whole thing and it had been so long prior to me watching a Philosophy Tube video that I didn't realize that the guy talking for most of it was not actually Philosophy Tube. And then, you know, the reveal is, you know, I'm not the name of which I previously went by. I'm Abigail now, which was like cool. But then also, like, as I say, I'm like, is this an issue of all white people looking the same that I can sit through 30 minutes of a thing and be like, that's the person that I previously watched? And then it'd be like, lol JK. I don't know. I do feel like I remember watching it being, it was interesting to say the least. Partially because, like, in a previous video, Philosophy Tube did say that, like, they are a cisgender person.
Before we dive into the remainder of this video, I should say up front that I am cisgender. For those of you who might be new to this sort of terminology, that means that my gender matches the one I was assigned at birth. So I'm not transgender.
And then also, when explicitly asked about, like, whether they had ever experienced gender dysphoria, they said that, like, they hadn't. So
Alice Rose, recently found out about LeftTube, really enjoy your content. Came at a good time because I've recently been through a tough break lately over who I am. Oh, tough breakup over who I am and a lot of gender dysphoria. Any advice? I don't have any advice on dealing with gender dysphoria. It's not something I've ever experienced. As for breakups, I've been there.
It's not really for me to care about or know. I'm kind of just like laying the foundation for how I am familiar with this person, let's say. I think the thing that I find interesting about Philosophy Tube is, since Contrapoints, I suppose, like, paved the way for the kind of aesthetic and methodology, so to speak, of how to present ideas online. There was a very deliberate and conscious, hey yo, can I see your homework real quick? It's like, you know, once the meta was carved out, it's like, here's before, blank background or bookshelf background, and then here's Contrapoints, and then here's Philosophy Tube. It's like, these are the same image. What's the meme? These are the, I don't know. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that either. Like this, you know, the comparison or like how identical these things are. Like, I'm not even the first person to call it out, because in fact, the most prominent person to talk about it is indeed herself, Natalie Contrapoints. A bit of a cryptic deleted tweet for you coming. Pause. Look, I get the pain of the trans woman who realizes that her boyfriend wants to be her. I really do. But on the bright side, at least your ex didn't also ditto your entire YouTube career. That would be so awkward. Haha. I wonder who that's about. A man plagiarized my work. My sister in Christ. You plagiarized a whole identity. What are we talking about? When all is said and done, is being a bit of a copycat and making edutainment that much of a crime when you think about it? Not really. So I guess moving on from Temu Contrapoints, we'll now talk about actual Contrapoints. I will get to the Israel-Palestine thing in a second, which I imagine is the main thing that people are caring about. Once again, I guess I'll just do a bit of a rundown of how I'm familiar with Contrapoints. I actually feel, hang on, if we're in 2025 now, maybe like 8 years, 8 to 10 years plus, I feel like I have a memory of like seeing a guy in like a vest or something, so obviously pre-transition. I remember hearing about or seeing an interview wherein she mentioned about how like, who was it, like Vice or something, you know, being interviewed about, you know, how she's steering people away from the alt-right pipeline, so to speak. And there was a comment that she made about how narrative and story and emotional storytelling is the thing that actually persuades people rather than facts of the matter, which I was like, well, isn't that a little bit convenient to have that belief? I mean, it's technically true, but then when imbued into content, let's say, might turn out to be a little bit problematic, because if you think that the facts aren't as important...
Facts don't matter to people as much as people think they do. People don't believe because of facts and evidence. They believe things because they're part of a story that they tell themselves.
Because I'm cooked and have read the 48 Laws of Power, I wanted to put forward some of the ways that Contrapoints establishes herself as like being a public figure that people care about, and it's not explicitly because of the opinions that she puts forward. For instance, Rule 43, work on the hearts and minds of others. This, I feel like, very squarely fits in with the thing that I mentioned a second ago about like emotional storytelling and narrative and facts not necessarily mattering as much. Slightly as an aside, there's that like CIA or like FBI guy that has become popular, you know, talking about being kind of Machiavellian, a bit of a tactician. Here's how to persuade people, etc. I heard him talk about how, holy moly, if you want to win favor with people, there's like 4 main things that you can do that with. It's an acronym. The acronym was RICE, and I can't off the top of my head remember what all 4 were, but I'll edit it in.
One of the most powerful tools for assessment that CIA teaches us early on in our training is a method that we know as the RICE method. And RICE, R-I-C-E, is actually an acronym that stands for 4 other words: reward, ideology, coercion, and ego.
But I do know that the I was ideology. You appeal to ideology. And I think that is how largely a lot of favor has been won. Rule 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. This shorty has over 26,000 patrons. Patreons? She's the high priestess of the online left. You know, whenever she drops, ooh, mommy dropped a video. Another aspect of the, you know, reason as to why things went south, Rule 37, create compelling spectacles. When you've got all this lighting and these elaborate set designs, let's say, after you take that away and you're just left with, you know, brass tacks, the raw opinion, you can't hide behind the irony or the irreverent humor, let's say, and then you're just left with, well, here's my opinion, front and center. Not quite as compelling. Mommy's spectacles were so grand that they would have you sitting through a 3-hour video about Twilight, a book that is 2 decades old, because once upon a time she made a video disparaging Jordan Peterson and J.K. Rowling. And in actuality, that is the actual last video of hers that I watched, or I guess watched part of. I think I saw like the first 10 minutes and then I was like, this isn't necessarily for me, which isn't a slight. It's just, you know, I'm not the demographic. One of the things that I remember her talking to was like, it took Stephanie 3 months to write the book and it took her like way longer to write her critique of it.
Honestly, it was more on trend when I started this video, but the script took me 18 months.
Twilight took me 3 months to write.
I remember watching that like, am I supposed to clap? Is that like cool? It's like, oh, mine's more effortful, so it's better. It's like, this person actually made something new, a novel, and you just made a critique of it. Like, I'll probably talk about this later, but by and large, I will fundamentally have a preference for something that somebody actually made rather than somebody's critique of it, which I suppose is kind of like an aside in and of itself as to, you know, one of my gripes with the video essay genre, which, are you a video essayist or are you just a professional complainer? When you take away the spectacle and you're just left with the raw words, with nothing else to hide from, the people got upset. Contrapoints, Zionist narcissism personified. Let's have a dabble in the comments. She would have hated newspapers that covered the civil rights movement. Ending segregation would have been too unrealistic in her eyes. The most cowardly position you can take during a genocide is, if your protest against the injustices isn't going to have immediate results, then there's no point in me joining. People are paraphrasing what she said, essentially. Why they're mad. Contrapoints thinks activism is calling Jordan Peterson a lobster and blocking J.K. Rowling. That's kind of tough, you know. Contrapoints demonstrating MLK was entirely correct when he talked about the white moderate. She was gross for demonizing the side trying to stop the catastrophe while giving up on opposing the side doing it. Contrapoints in 1939. Yeah, let's not stop Hitler. It would take years. It is undeniably pretty wild to say, I think there's a genocide happening, but I think doing anything about it is wrong. Damn. She really getting cooked for real. Wow, the rich liberal is acting like a rich liberal. You're the ones paying her, not me. 50 bands minimum a month.
Correction. 100 bands minimum a month.
Rule 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Like the only, maybe not the only, the main thing as a leftist that you're supposed to do is A, not side with the oppressor, and B, look out for the little guy, and it seems like she kind of fumbled on both, and the blowback is getting pretty unavoidable.
The fastest way to burn influence, the fastest way to burn your persuasive ability and burn your sense-making relationship with people is to be inconsistent. Because nobody wants to invest relationship into an inconsistent person.
27. Play on people's needs to believe to create a cult-like following. People really were out here thinking that Contrapoints was infallible, and then she showed a level of fallibility that pretty bad for her audience. Anyway, let's say. And what's the expression? The scales have been lifted from their eyes, have fallen from their eyes. Not only is this like a lack of ideological purity, which is what a lot of people go to her for, but it's also so like diametrically opposed from the beliefs that one is supposed to have, let's say. I don't know how long this has been going on for, how long people have been like skeptical of like, what are her beliefs on this matter? I know I saw that Creators for Palestine thing, and it had all like the breadtube, leftube people on there, the commentary people, and ominously, one of the very salient people in that space that wasn't on that was Contrapoints. And so maybe that is a point at which people had a kind of level of suspicion. Mommy hasn't told me what to think on this matter. What will become of this? Will there be a bloated video? Will she stop making YouTube videos in the same way that Lindsay Ellis did a few years ago and just see to her Patreon audience? Will there be a power vacuum? Will the high priestess position be in the need of filling? Will this be Philosophy Tube's opportunity to, if you can't wear Contrapoints' skin on your own face, maybe you can take her spot as High Priestess of the Pop Left. I tried to warn you guys in a previous video of mine, the video essay problem. Stop pedestalizing these people. Stop forming parasocial relationships with these people. Stop expecting them to be morally coherent. You think you know them more than you do not, and then you pay the price when you're upset. I have had skepticism about left-leaning people that use guilt and shame tactics intuitively, but then also because I've stumbled upon research that puts forward the idea that, like, actually it's not about looking out for the little guy. Their personality is actually more oriented towards having dark triad traits, or I guess dark tetrad. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, sadism, psychopathy. Did you expect that the people who metabolize the feeling of shame in almost every video that they do with their smarmy grins and the "this isn't good," all of the thumbnails are the same. It's "this thing bad. This personal thing needs to be shamed." You don't know them or their beliefs. You just know what they don't like or purport to not like. I don't think many of these people are good people, frankly. I think it's a easy way to get clouted. Again, these people are professional complainers. It's just another form of being a culture vulture, but you put a little bit of a political spin on it so you feel like you're learning something as you're watching, and it's like, you're probably not. Did we really need 1,001 different videos with the same fucking thumbnail talking about Jojo Siwa? When I'm president of the world, anybody that made a Jojo Siwa video is getting a bullet in the back. Is getting a bullet in the back of the head. Just kidding, that's a joke. It's not going to be in the back of the head, it's going to be in the front of the head, so I can look them in the eyes as I pull the trigger. I remember watching... What special was this? It was a Bo Burnham special. I think it might be What. He's talking about how celebrities get pedestalized. And I think he's specifically talking about some show where they like mimic songs or whatever. And he's kind of likening it to this kind of low-hanging fruit. And like, how dare they think that this is worthy of all our attention, these celebrities fucking around and stuff.
Entertainers, they are lying and they are manipulating you. And it's not in the good way. It's like advertising. You deserve better. I'm not saying I'm it, but I'm the guy that says you deserve better. You go get better. You say, "Thank you, weird man. Bye."
And, you know, the moment that they stop giving you what you want to essentially kick them to the curb, you know, to not have parasocial relationships in a way that you feel like you know them one-on-one and stuff. And I think that's probably the correct way about going about things, you know, rather than contorting yourself and having, you know, emotional attachments to online personalities. And again, I shouldn't really be saying this because as somebody that also wants to build a following or whatever, I should, you know, be giving you all the incentive to, you know, suck you into my world. Pause. That's not pause. Suck you into my... If I'd have just said suck you in. And of course, everything that I'm saying also applies to me too. Because again, I am not an activist. I do not purport to be an activist or even activist adjacent, you know. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Off camera, I say slurs. All right, off camera, I'm gonna say one right now into the mic. Okay, I'm gonna say a slur. So you know I'm not a. So you know that I'm not ideologically possessed. All right, you ready? It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna say 2. Can we get a replay? Action replay. Table. Chairs. And it's that easy because there was probably a part of you, some of you who were watching like, oh, what words did he say? Is he gonna get cancelled or whatever? And it's like, it's that you just don't say certain words, say certain other words, you know, throw in the phrase late stage capitalism every now and then, and all of a sudden you're on the good side, you're a good person. I should have let this be I should have scripted this last. I was trying to get fucking... The point of my videos, by contrast, is not to tell you what to think in the same way that many of these other people's are. It's, I have an opinion, or I think I figured something out. Have a consideration if you like. If you agree, cool. If you don't agree, it's also cool. I don't need you or expect you to mirror my beliefs back to me. You know, this is for contemplation. What did I say in a previous video? Like, these thought leaders, like, stop giving a fuck about these thought leaders. All I really want you to do, if there's any takeaway from this, it's to believe in your own fucking critical thinking. That's all it really is. Stop pedestalizing people. Stop outsourcing your own morality and belief system and ideological perspectives to people that, first of all, you barely know, and second of all, so consistently convey themselves to be the antithesis of the kinds of things that they purport themselves to be. And plus, half these niggas are mentally ill anyway. And I'm one of them. I'm just kidding. I'm normal. Everybody else is weird. I'm the normal one and everybody else is weird. These people are not good. Why are you relying on them in the first place? You know nothing about them. Why are you relying on them in the first place? Why are you relying on them in the first... Fuck. What's the Batman quote? Die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. There's another one, Green Goblin. They love to see you fall.
But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying.
So maybe just don't build them up in the first place. And I mean psychologically. I'm not saying like don't subscribe to channels. I'm not saying, you know, that you shouldn't subscribe to my channel. I'm just saying like in terms of where they reside in your mind, how important to you they are. I'm so certain that there's a kind of person that when stuff like this happens has a fucking breakdown. If this person is like this, how can I believe in anything? Believe in your fucking self.
Layton of the Bush.
Parasocial relationship game 100.